Years ago, I thought astrology was a load of rot, and I thought I'd debunk it by, and I went out to get the book. I got one of those thick books on Linda Goodman's sun signs, and I started to read through it, and I went, wow, wait a minute. Some of this really resonates. Then I started to get into it deeper, and I did courses, and then I realized there was more to it. So I did a 3-year part-time course. And then over the years, I realized that a lot of the astrology is, what is it? It's got a lot of fluff attached to it. So I got rid of the fluff. And then I realized that especially the outer planets are processes. And if you know a process, it goes through different steps. And if you know the steps, it's very predictable. And if it's very predictable, it's easy to understand, easy to communicate, easy to teach. So it's simplified the astrology straight away. And then I had another insight that a lot of astrology is projection. Psychology already knows this stuff, but I started to realize that often when you did somebody's natal astrology chart, some of it didn't quite relate. The parts that didn't relate were the parts they were projecting. So if you don't own a quality within yourself, then you find somebody out there that will live that out for you, and often they live it out negatively until you develop it within yourself. But it was always within you. So then I put projection into astrology, and it became way more accurate and a lot clearer and easier to understand, easier to teach. So that's where we are. So do you guys have any stories you'd like to share about astrology? Just unmuted.
I think like you, Michael, I thought of astrology as just open the newspaper and read your stars for the week.
Yeah.
And that's as much as I knew about it, really. So when you did my astrology chart, it blew my mind, and definitely those aspects of myself that I would have said, no, that's not me at all. Yeah, it's
Yeah. It didn't make
enlightening.
sense to me at first. How can the planets, solar system, the universe affect us down here? That's ridiculous. That was the beginning of the journey, the awakening.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get started, eh?
Sounds good.
Pardon?
Sounds good.
That's so. Welcome to the wonderful world of astrology. I'd just like to say thanks to Leslie Comlos, who did a lot of the back work. She set a lot of this beautiful stuff up, and I think it's great. So today we're going to look at the sun sign and its deeper meaning. So feel free to use the chat box. I'll try and respond where I can, but Leslie's on our end if you've got any tech questions or anything. So let's start looking at the signs, the astrological signs. So the universe seems to have an order, and it's almost like we live in a mathematical program. See, it's like even here the signs, you've got Aries is the first one, the first sign, and it's Yang, which is outward energy, masculine energy. It's Yin, Yang, all the way around. And we start out with fire, because Aries comes out of the ocean of Pisces. And fire signs are Aries, Leo, in Sagittarius. So fire uses a lot of energy, they're spontaneous, a lot of enthusiasm in fire. And so we have every fourth sign is fire, and then we have Taurus, which is earth, and so is Virgo and Capricorn. So earth is more practical, down to earth, more grounded. And earth is more about the physical world, the body and the material world. Earth wants material security. Then we have air signs. Air signs are to do with the mind, communication, more social. And we have Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius are air signs. So air signs want intellectual stimulation. And then we have water signs, which is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So water is more emotional, feeling. It likes emotional connections, and it's imaginative, and it's seeking emotional security. So let's start off again with Aries, which is a cardinal fire sign. Now, cardinal in astrology means starting, initiating, getting things going. So they're the beginners. So Aries starts fires. The other ones first out the gate to initiate things, to get things going, doing things. And then Taurus is fixed earth. Now, fixed signs are good at maintaining things, stabilizing things. Fixed earth is more about maintaining a focus. So you imagine earth, there's this practical behavior of earth that has a consistency with it, an endurance with it. So Taurus is the most stabilizing force. Then you have mutable air, which is Gemini. Now, mutable is very adaptable. It goes out in different directions. So you imagine the mind going out in different directions, asking where, why, how, interacting, exchange of ideas. That's Gemini. And then you've got cardinal starting water. So starting emotion. So what happens with Cancer is that emotions well up within them and this urge to nurture, to protect those close. And then we got fire again, that's fixed. So with Leo, you have all this energy and enthusiasm, but it's really focused. It's like an oxy-torch. So that when they get on a creative project, boom, 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 there's a lot of energy that goes into it. Then we have earth that's mutable. So what's practical and it's spread out. And you see with Virgo, we'll sort that out, clean that up, get that ready, prepare that. There's a lot of energy goes around in a very practical way. And then we have the cardinal air. So starting interactions, social interactions. So Libra starts relationships, starts partnerships, wants an exchange. Then we have Scorpio, which is fixed water. So that's fixed is deep emotion. And it's like when they attach emotion to somebody or something, there's a real deep desire with Scorpio. And sometimes they hold on to emotions, and it's like, and every time they let go, they transform. Then we have mutable fire. So that's adaptable fire. It's going out everywhere. All this energy, this enthusiasm to experience more and more, cover more distance, new horizons. And then we have cardinal earth. So cardinal starts earthly things, practical things. So Capricorn wants to organize things, plan things, structure things, get them all ready, start them. And then we have fixed air. So Aquarius has ideas about the future, but sometimes it's like they get fixated on it. And sometimes they need to change because the idea is not working anymore. Pisces. So that's mutable, it's spread out, water, emotion. So their feelings, Pisces feelings, go out in all directions. And they pick up what's out there. They pick up the energy. So there's a lot of empathy. Okay. So that's the building blocks of the signs. Now we want to look at the sun. So we have a sun that's up there in the sky, this yellow disk, but we have an inner sun. And the inner sun is our inner will, our willpower to express yourself, to shine out and be you. Not an imitation, not a copy, but the authentic you comes from the sun. So the sun at first, it can be shy and hidden, or it can be like a desert sun that's very controlling and overbearing. So we don't have our sun energy together right away. Often that starts to switch on usually after 30. And sometimes we can have the sun working in certain areas, but not in others. Ideally, we'll want to switch it on across the board. So at first, we're becoming the sun. And when we're becoming the sun, we're trying to be the sun, but we're not there yet. So the sun wants to be important, it wants to be special, it wants to be the hero. But it might not be confident enough yet. Or it can overcompensate and come out of ego. That if we think that if we achieve enough or we get enough attention, if other people shine on us and we're recognized enough, we're going to be the sun. But that's not how it works. The sun doesn't work through other people shining on you. So then you become the sun. And how you become the sun is that you know yourself. So you know who you are. You're confident. And how do you get confident? You get confident through experience. And you're in your center. And you can just shine out and be who you truly are, the authentic you. So let's start with the sun in Aries. Aries' statement is, I am. The the sun is your will in action, which is Aries. And you can see Aries there, that's like the ram's horns. You could see it as lava pouring out of a volcano. So when Aries is that first sign, the first surge of life, they're coming out of that Pisces ocean to be separate and apart from the rest of humanity. So they're aware of the self and they find themselves through their action. So sometimes Aries doesn't always see other people. It's not that they're selfish. They sometimes just don't see people, because it's so focused on I am and the action. So when Aries is becoming the sun, they can get impatient, angry, and find conflict. Okay, so they're not there yet. But when you're being the sun, when you have the sun within you, you're in your center, you're confident, you know yourself, then that true courage comes through. And there's this creative drive that has a channel, a pathway now. It's not getting caught up in conflict and frustration and anger. And see, they have a direction that's very clear and they take action. And that's how their sun lights up. Nice, eh? Then we have a sun in Taurus. Taurus the bull. So Taurus says, I produce. And it's a will to build and stabilize. So you can see here, you've got the horns, the bull's head. The horns are like, they are the gathering together of resources, possessions, skills, resources. So you're gathering it all together, and then Taurus stores it and has it ready, so then they can produce from there, that they can use that to get results. Taurus loves to build. So Taurus is also fixed earth. So it's like a boulder. It can take a bit of energy to get that boulder moving sometimes. Some people call it bull-headed stubbornness. But once it gets going, there's this strength and endurance, this consistency. Taurus needs to know when to change though. You imagine that boulder rolling, and sometimes they can get on a track. The difference between a rut and a grave is only the depth. So Taurus needs to change. So when you're trying to become Taurus, there can be stubbornness, not willing to change. And Taurus can get stuck in the tunnel. The tunnel is like you're working all the time to make money, to be prosperous, and it's like you're caught in that tunnel. So being the sun, that's very different. Taurus is resourceful with strength and endurance. And with that resourcefulness, Taurus can often master the material world. And that doesn't mean being a billionaire or anything like that. That means that you've taken care of the material world so your sun can live out its purpose. There you go, little Taurus. Now Gemini. Gemini says, I think. The will to adapt and satisfy the curiosity. So here you can see, this is supposed to be the temple, and you've got the two columns holding up the temple. And sometimes there's a real duality with Gemini. They're certainly very flexible, but sometimes there can be a split in the personality. Jekyll and Hyde. So that happens if Gemini's caught in the head and they're detached from their feelings. And especially if they got unresolved trauma, it can come up and create a split in the personality. So Gemini sometimes needs to address what's under the surface and not just get stuck in the head. So the will is to adapt and to adapt and satisfy the curiosity. So you've got Gemini, the mind, curiosity, and it's skimming around the surface and it can pick things up very quickly. It's a bit like the trickster. It can lead you down the garden path, Gemini. And the thing with Gemini, sometimes because they're getting the surface truth, their test is to root out the truth behind that. So if you are becoming the sun in Gemini, often Gemini has to be right. They have to know things. And if they don't know it, sometimes they have self-made logic. Being the sun in Gemini is different. That's about rooting out the truth and communicating effectively. So let's just have a little stop here. Can anybody would like to share any stories there about Aries, Taurus, or Gemini? Anything you'd like to say?
Well, I'm definitely in Aries.
Oh, good on you. Go, go, go.
Yep. Got too much energy sometimes.
You what?
I sometimes have too much energy.
Yeah. So really important for Aries to use that energy somewhere where they can use it and express it, that they don't get caught up in conflict or, politics or anything like that, that they go, go, go. They can use that creatively. And sometimes it doesn't matter whether, you just burn it out and dump the energy. It doesn't have to go anywhere. Sometimes, does it?
Well, it's a hard one.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Cancer. So Cancer is I feel, and the will, the sun energy, is to protect and nurture, especially for those close, because it's a very personal energy. And you can see here, this is a parent nurturing the child. And sometimes the Cancerian needs to be the child, and sometimes they need to be the growing up and the parent. Now, Cancer takes things very personally, and they can get hurt. So this is where the crab comes in. The crab has very sensitive flesh, can get really hurt. So it's got a hard shell to protect it. Sometimes it puts the nippers up and sometimes it withdraws into the hole. So Cancer's learning to integrate the flesh with the shell so that there's a strength on the outside, but they also have a softness and a sensitivity too, to integrate the two. So Cancer, becoming the sun, can be very dependent and needy and cling to security because there's this fear of loss. especially a loss of things close to them. But when they're in their sun sign, they're self-secure. So they don't need to cling to anything anymore because security comes from within. And they can shine out with love and caring now. It's like the whole world becomes their home. Leo. Leo is I create. And that's the will to express from your heart and put your mark out there. When I'm talking heart with Leo, that's like the confident, the will of the heart. Leo is the sun energy. And you can see here with this symbol here, this is the heart, and it's pumping the blood to the body. And when Leo can come from the heart, from that creative core, when they can express themselves, their authentic self, not duplicating, not imitating, but who they truly are, and then put that out there as a stamp, as a creative effort. It's really important to Leo. So sometimes Leo thinks that they are the creation or the creator. If you're the creator, then you're coming from Leo. Creativity comes through Leo, and it's sort of recognizing that, and then there's not such a big ego. But when they think they are it, then they haven't become the sun. They are becoming the sun. They're not the sun yet. So then they often seek attention. They want the recognition, and they can be ego-driven. But being the sun, that's a different matter. They can be creative and playful. See, how they create is sometimes it's a work of art. Sometimes it's creatively dramatizing things and playing. And of course, interacting with kids and playing, that's a creative process. Creative leadership. There's a lot of ways to create. And when they're able to shine out their warmth and loyalty and also have the confidence to take on those leadership roles, that's when their sun shines. Oh, that little thing there's an oxy-torch. Remember, that's a focus fire, is a bit like an oxy-torch. Virgo. Virgo is I select. And it's the will, the sun energy, the will to prepare and sort things out. So Virgo is that stage, adolescent, young teenager, where you're getting ready, you're preparing for the world out there, your potential, and to meet and socialize. You're getting ready for that, but you're not ready yet. So there's a little bit of anxiety with Virgo. It's like, I've got to get ready. I've got to clean things up, sort things out, look after my health. And Virgo wants to be a service, wants to help people. But sometimes if you want to be a service, you can be taken for granted. And you need to discriminate who you're helping and for what purpose, because sometimes, you might be helping somebody that doesn't have a great intent. You might be helping the wrong people, but you're not seeing that. See, Virgo is very attentive to details and sometimes doesn't get the big picture. So here you've got the Virgo essence and preparation, getting ready and preparing, cleaning up, sorting out. And that's a chastity belt. There's a little key there, a little keyhole. It's like, it's preparing, but until the time is right. So, becoming the sun. So, a Virgo sun trying to be the sun, you've got to be perfect, and then you get taken for granted. But once you're in your sun energy, you clean up your own act, your own life, and you're able to discriminate who you're helping and for what purpose. So Virgo often wants to look after their health. And probably the biggest thing that Virgo learns is that your body heals itself if you give it what it needs and stop doing what caused the problem in the first place. Libra. So Libra's opposite Aries. So Aries was about the self and Libra is about the other. And Libra is seeking balance. Now, they don't always have balance, but they're seeking it because it's, even when you walk, as soon as you lift a foot, you're off balance, but then you put it down, lift another foot, and you're back in balance. So we're always going in and out of balance. And the will is to share, exchange ideas, and form new interactions. So that's what Libra wants. So you can see the scales here. And there's the other. And if you try and please them all the time, and you try and live your life through them, is that going to cause balance? I don't think so. So Libra needs to have a relationship with themselves, balance their own nature, and then relationships work better. Okay? And sometimes Libra sees different points of view. See, this is the bird, and it's flying across the horizon. And the bird can see different points of view without getting caught up in one perspective. So it's very diplomatic. So Libran likes to consider different points of view, but sometimes gets stuck sitting on the fence. And they need to weigh up both sides, or more than both sides sometimes, and then make a decision. So in the becoming the sun, you try to please and live through the other person. Doesn't work. You can compromise yourself out of existence that way. But becoming the sun, you balance your own nature and shine out that kindness and consideration and form balanced relationships. Scorpio. So Scorpio is I merge. They want to blend energies, Scorpio. And the will is to create trust and emotional bonding. So Scorpio equation is 1 + 1 = 3. If I come together with another, we can create more than the sum of the parts. So you come together in a relationship and you can create a family. You do that socially and you create more. Or in business, you create more. So there's two things that come up with Scorpio. Trust. Can I trust them? And power. Is it my power, our power? And it usually works better when it's our power. So this part is Scorpio, because Scorpio's fixed emotion. They can get hurt very deeply. And so trust is so important. And if Scorpio gets hurt, this part here can be the part holding back. It's like I'm being hurt and I damn well won't get hurt again. And this part wants to merge. It wants to throw itself in and be in the other person's energy. But sometimes you can get terribly hurt. That's the sting of the scorpion. And you can also see that as a penis, because Scorpio is quite a sexual energy. So if you hold back, there's no connection and there's no growth from that. Or if you throw yourself in, you become obsessed with the other. And it's like Scorpio's learning trusting, when to move forward, when to hold back. You don't need to cut off. You can step back, and then if it all works out, you go through the barriers of mistrust and you have a bond, and then you can create more. This is also the Scorpion. And the Scorpion is very strong instincts. It's a very survival energy. Scorpio is quite psychic, can sense what's going to happen. And there's a sense of karma that, there's payback. And that sting can sting other people, but it can sting yourself too. So in becoming the sun, there could be misuse of the energy, control and manipulation, or not trusting others and then withholding, and the need for other people's energy. But when you're being the sun, you're self-empowered. You don't need other people's energy all the time. It's nice having it merging, but you're not dependent on their energy because you're self-empowered. You own your sun energy. And that way you're able to shine out with your love and loyalty and build productive relationships. Got that one? Probably Scorpio is one of the most misunderstood signs. That's probably why I spend a bit more time on it. Sagittarius, I seek. So the will is to explore, to expand consciousness and be free. So you can see here, it's a bow and the arrow. So it's mutable. That fire goes out in different directions. So that those arrows tend to go out everywhere. New horizons, new possibilities, new opportunities. I want to experience everything. And that could be scattered energy. So Sagittarius is a bit like the shaman energy. If the tribe is having a problem, they go to the shaman, and the shaman goes out on a journey, goes into the sweat lodge and journeys that way, or travels overseas, and goes on this journey to find the answers, to bring them back. But sometimes they get lost and they get caught up in their own story, and it's almost like part of them dies because it becomes an ego thing. But when they bring it back, it benefits the tribe. That's when Sag is at its best. When they're seeking, they're searching, they're going out for higher knowledge, wisdom, experience, and they bring it back to benefit others. So, because it's a very social energy. So becoming the sun, when you're trying to be the sun, that can create a lot of restlessness with scattered energy. And you can get caught on the hamster wheel. So you're playing the same thing over and over again. So Sag does that. Sometimes they get into a pattern that they play again and again. But being the sun, that's different. You are free and you have a meaningful life. How do you have a meaningful life? You create it. And your meaningful life benefits other people. You understand the big picture and you shine out that optimism and humor. Sag is the most optimistic and has great sense of humor. Capricorn. Capricorn says, I organize. And the will is to manage and organize. So here we go. This is supposed to be the mountain goat. I don't know how, but it is. And Capricorn wants social security. It wants a security within the structure. Now, it can be the domestic goat in the backyard, and it stays within the rules, the regulations, the expectations. So the structure's on the outside. And Capricorn, the domestic goat, is very easily conditioned. It wants approval. And then you have the mountain goat. There's lush grass at the top. So the mountain goat has the structure on the inside, not on the outside. So they're self-responsible, self-organized, and they plot a course to get to the lush grass. Being a social creature, probably set up a business to get the other goats up there. So in becoming the sun, they're trying to get security by conforming and staying within the rules and the regulations. But when they're being the sun, the structure's on the inside. They learn to master themselves. So you master your mind, you master your emotions, you master your behavior. And then you can shine out with maturity, and you can take responsibility. You can manage people responsibly and take charge. Aquarius. Aquarius says, I envision. And the will is to be free and to have insights and to improve the future. So here we go. See, this is not water. I know Aquarius is a water bearer, but this is more like energy waves. That, like your central nervous system, it has energy running through it that brings about awareness. And you've got radio waves, and you've got the internet that goes around the whole planet. So Aquarius is about bringing awareness. And, you know, the water bearer, the water represents consciousness. And if somebody's asleep or unconscious, you tip water on them to wake them up. Now we have injustices, unfairnesses, inequality, where, you know, systems overlook individuals' needs and nature's needs. Aquarius is here to wake people up, to see a vision for the future, how to improve things. So the top part here is socially waking up to what's happening in the world. Because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. And it's like more and more people are waking up to that. Because most people are aware that most systems are broken and corrupted, even in Australia. Look at the medical system. We're so unhealthy, and yet we spend so much money on medicine because it doesn't treat the problem, it treats the symptom. And then there's personal awareness, where you're awake and you're conscious. So in becoming the sun, you've got to be free and socialize, but you detach from the personal aloofness. Now, we're in the Aquarian age now, and we've got a choice to make at the moment, because we can move away from our humanity, our emotion, that who we are as a human being, and we can become transpersonal. So we can lose our humanity, and AI can take over, and we can replace our whole system with technology. And that's one path we can go, or we can keep our humanity, we can keep our hearts, and we can use technology to enhance who we are and still remain human. So being the sun, we're free and awake, and we're deprogrammed. So we're not going to be programmed or conditioned. We can step back and see things as they are, and become awake inside and outside, and able to shine out as a light of awareness. Then Pisces. Pisces says, I believe. And the will is to identify with and to help and heal. So you've got that water, the feeling, and it's spread out. And when you've got water spreading out, it picks up the feelings, the vibrations, the moods, the energies around you. So this part here is the spiritual part of Pisces. That's the earth plane. And up here is the soul world. Oh, there's a funny little soul there. And in the soul world, we're all one. We're all connected. There's no difference. It's like you get a glass of salt water. It looks the same, but it's got every element on the earth. So there's a oneness with the Pisces. And they have an unconscious memory of the soul world. Then they come down to earth through the birth canal, boop, and now we're on planet Earth. It's very different down here. It's very harsh and hard, planet hard knocks. And this here is the legs and the feet. The feet are very Pisces. And often Pisces has sensitive feet, especially walking on planet hard knocks, where people can be mean and cruel, and there's injustice and all sorts of things. And that their own nature sometimes can be hard and cruel. And the trick is that bringing that down, they feel so much that sometimes it's overwhelming, and they want to escape. They can go into fantasy or get into drugs or addiction and things. So the test of Pisces is to have those higher ideals, but bring them down to earth and live them, to walk it. And we're just at the end of the Pisces phase. I think at the moment it's a total end of the Pisces age, which is 2,000-year period. We've sort of been phasing out for the last century or so. But I think this is a total end of that phase as we totally embraced an Aquarian age. And the last of it has been, I would say, and it's just about to finish now. We're right on the border. It's already happening. But Neptune, which is Pisces planet, has been going through Pisces for the last 15, 20 years, and now it's going to go into Aries. So the worst and the best of Pisces age has come up, where we've had a whole lot of illusions and deceptions. We've had censorship. We've been told a lot of lies, and we always have been over the centuries. And the idealism that we should be all inclusive and one and everything has been very difficult to come down to earth and live that. Because you can have an idealism of oneness, but then down on earth, I'll give you an example. You might have an ideal that, okay, we've got to keep our water system and everything running so nature's looked after, but you don't allow the water to come down and supply towns and cities. And then you have a big fire, and you go to the fire hydrants and they're empty. And you've got this ideal things that should be this way, but the reality down here is different. And Pisces needs to have those ideals, but bring them down to earth where they can live them properly. That's when it works well. So when you're able to bring those ideals down to earth and live them. Cool. So, would anybody like to share a story or two? Margaret, Pisces? You're on silent. You okay to share?
Yeah, sure. I was trying to get everyone back on the screen and I lost myself. The Pisces thing. Yeah, well, I can relate to everything that you've said in the Pisces. I think, well, I also did the other astrology course with you, Michael, which was great. So I found out a lot more about myself. I do feel that, is anyone else Pisces here? No. So it can be overwhelming, but I think it was probably about 15 years ago that I started on my healing journey. And so I do, I believe, and this is, they will identify and help or heal that I'm hopefully I'm working on being the sun.
Good.
I'm in transition.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure you're already the sun in a lot of areas.
Thank you. But I do have something that I'd like to just bring up about Scorpio and Aries.
You've got a Scorpio daughter, haven't you?
I've actually got a Scorpio son.
Oh, son.
And his wife is Aries.
Right.
And it seems to be a lot about trust. Is that, and then that you seem to mention trust.
Oh, big time for Scorpio.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they feel so deeply and they want to merge and they want to have this deep bond, but they've got to trust that it's okay. But a lot of the time they need to trust themselves instead of putting it on the other person. Otherwise, they can get jealous and possessive and things like that.
Right.
They don't want control in a relationship.
So can they sort of project that out onto others? Obviously, yes. Can they project that out onto others?
Oh, yeah. Well, sometimes it can happen that way, because you've got that energy, you get them to live it out. Yeah. Projection depends on what you'll be able to see it in their chart.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
What's going on. Yeah. So on night 3, we'll throw in a little bit of projection there, what that's about, because we're going to be doing a bit of work on relationships.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Part of relationships is projection. If you project on relationships, it makes it very difficult.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. So we have some homework. If this is your mission, if you choose to accept it, find your moon sign. Now, you can go to this thing here. I believe Leslie's put it in your chat box. So if you go in there and you type in the details, it will show you where your moon sign is. If you have trouble with that, just let me know. And if you have your time, that's good. Sometimes if you don't have your time, the moon can be on one side or the other side, because the moon moves a long way in a day. And if you don't have your time and it's halfway between, you don't know whether the moon, it might have been there in the first part of the day, but it went in the other side in the other part of the day. So if you don't have your time, you don't always know exactly what sign, but you'll know it's either there or there in that sign or that sign. A lot of the time it will be definitely in one, even if you just have the day. But if you have the time, you know exactly where it is. And that will show you where your moon sign is. So you just need to put in your date, place, and time of birth, and then it will calculate your moon sign. Okay? Now, if you join this brand new Facebook group, okay, it's on there, that would be lovely. You don't have to, but if you want to, that'd be great. It's just open, so you'll probably be the first, but one person who does their homework for the 3 days, and that's finding their moon sign and joining the group, plus what we do on day 1 and 2, 3 and 2 and 3, then you will win private mini reading of astrology with me. Okay. Well, it's been lovely seeing you guys. And I hope to see you tomorrow where we look at your moon sign. The moon is the equal opposite of the sun. And it's like, if you know your sun sign, your moon sign, how they work together is day 3, and also relationship land, how your energy works with other people's energy, their signs as with your sign. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Michael.
Hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye
See you
now.
tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Michael. Bye.